So I recently watched the new Gennedy movie Fixed, and just real quick, I thought it was fine. Some parts I thought were hilarious, some parts I thought were every bit the raunchy R-rated comedy that I thought it would be. But what fascinated me the most about Fixed wasn't the movie itself, it was the reaction. A lot of people seemed shocked at how lowbrow the humor in this movie was going to be, as if they expected anything else from a movie where a dog goes out for one last night of fun before he gets neutered. So let's talk about this movie and what it says about our expectations for adult animation. I think it's our shifting standards that have started to sour us from just your average raunchy comedy, which absolutely has a place in this industry. I mean, South Park has been going gung-ho on the fuck-ass president and his tiny penis, insecure attitude, and tiny manservant of a VP, and damn near everybody loves it. Or at least acknowledges that the absurdity is hilarious in and of itself. So why are people so against Fixed? Cause of Gennedy? Cause of the terrible trailer? Cause you see a dog's testicles for 90% of the runtime? Do you only get a pass at being a lowbrow comedy if you've been in the business that long?
This is cum!
Let's answer these questions real quick. First off, yes, that initial trailer was awful. It featured the raunchiest bits of the movie all at once without showing anything about the characters or really the plot. But the crazy thing is, this movie isn't nearly as raunchy as Netflix made it out to be. Okay, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of parts that are really bad with the sex jokes. But as for the actual movie, the sex stuff is mostly kept to a minimum. Mostly. And the dirtier jokes about poop or pee or asses or whatever, well, those just come from the fact that dogs are kind of gross. I think we forget that a lot because we love dogs so much, but dogs really do be nasty. Speaking of dogs being nasty, the fact that we can see Bull's balls full stop pretty much the entire movie. I mean, okay, it's a little gross, but then at the same time, they're what the movie is about. They're a central part of his character. They make him feel whole, make him feel like he stands out among his friends who have all been neutered. If he didn't have them, he doesn't consider himself a real dog.
You should know, I'm about to lose my one good asset.
Yeah, trust me, no one is gonna miss those.
Really?
Really. You are you, in spite of those, not because of them.
And he sees this act of getting rid of them as a sign that his family doesn't love him.
They love and miss me? Then why the hell do they want to cut off my balls?
It's sweet and horrific, all at the same time.
As weird as it is to say, it's kind of necessary that we be reminded of his gonads as often as possible because his attachment to them is the crux of the story. Now, as for other raunchy comedies getting a pass just because they're legacy titles, yes, that does happen. With shows like Family Guy or South Park, or even shows like Drawn Together, which don't really run anymore, but people have kind of accepted the fact that it's raunchy for the sake of raunchy, people give it a pass or don't bother talking about it as much as they do newer shows that come out that attempt to be raunchy, such as Has Been Hotel, Santa Inc., or Sausage Party. With those examples, I definitely think it comes down to intent and execution. Like these newer shows that are raunchy definitely feel like they're doing it just for the sake of being raunchy. Sausage Party is especially guilty of this because the novelty of cartoons cursing all started with them. Now granted, cartoons have been cursing for the longest time, but the fact that it hit the mainstream started with Sausage Party. And that joke was kind of run into the ground with this movie, to the point where the designs reflected that, with the main cast being given these little gloves and little shoes, despite the fact that those types of cartoons haven't worn those types of clothing for decades. With the only type of cartoons that are seen wearing those types of gloves and those types of shoes are either Mickey Mouse or cartoons that are referencing Mickey Mouse. I think another reason for this is that when it comes to raunchy humor, if a raunchy joke doesn't really land, all you're left with is the raunchy material, and more often than not, people are kind of grossed out or off-put by raunchy material. Like say you make a rape joke or a sex joke. If you take away the joke, if the joke isn't at all funny, then all you're left with is the topic of rape or sex. And some people think sex is funny. I hope to God nobody thinks rape is funny. But when you take out the joke, that's all you're left with, and it causes people to think a lot, and it causes people to be off-put as a result. But in defense of Fixed, no jokes in there are really like that. Again, all of the gross out humor when it comes to like pee or poop or murdering squirrels just comes from the fact that they are dogs, and dogs do these things. Dogs are gross, they do gross shit. And when it comes to the sex jokes, well, okay, one of them in the movie really put me off, do not get me wrong. But for the rest of them, it's a central part of the movie because, again, Bull's testicles are a central part of the movie. And what are testicles if not baby batter making factories? So while I do understand that there's this growing distaste when it comes to raunchy comedy, especially with all the adult animation we've been getting that doesn't have to rely on raunchy comedy to be good, there is definitely a place for it when it comes to adult animation, provided it does well at least. Okay, this is the last one, and this is the biggest one. People have a problem with this movie because they think it's taking Gennedy Tartakovsky, legend in the animation industry, away from doing other projects. And like, that couldn't be further from the truth. Lest we forget, which I'm positive a lot of people did, this is a movie that has been announced since at least 10 years ago. This is a passion project for Gennedy that he really wanted to make happen. He wanted to make a movie about dogs based on the stupid conversations that he would have with the boys. This isn't some studio mandated ass movie where executives said, what if we made the cartoon do the epic swear? This is a labor of love, which may seem weird to say about a movie like this, but it's true. And you can tell the love is there because in between the raunchy humor and the banter between the main cast, there's genuine heart and emotion in it. Plus, I'm gonna get a lot of people mad with this statement, but I think it needs to be said. I think we put Gennedy on too high a pedestal. Yes, he's a legend in this industry. Yes, he's produced some of the most iconic cartoons to come out of Cartoon Network. But at the same time, he is not immune to flopping or making something that isn't a cinematic masterpiece. Like at all. And he's certainly not immune to cheesy adult humor. First up, in terms of his misgivings, season 5 of Samurai Jack. It started out amazing, the ending was mostly good, but the second Jack got his sword back and it turned into a love story between him and Ashi, things really started to go off the rails a bit. Like, the love aspect was absolutely unnecessary and not handled well at all in my opinion. It dragged down the season a bit for me. And as for another big flop, well, I refer you to Unicorn Warriors Eternal. I bet most of you forgot that this show even existed, huh? Amazing art direction and design work, bogged down by a basic story and really bad pacing. And again, this was another labor of love from Gennedy Tartakovsky, something that he had been trying to make for years. And right now it's probably dead in the water despite ending on a cliffhanger. Like, Gennedy can make something bad, guys. Gennedy can make something average. Gennedy doesn't have to fire on all cylinders at all times. He can make a basic raunchy movie about dogs and still come out of the other side just fine. Oh, and by the way, do not tell me that Gennedy doesn't do raunchy humor. Because who could forget this?
Clumsy me! Catastrophe!
Or this. Or even. Or how about. What about? Or how about?
Previous day.
And of course, who could possibly forget?
Whoa, what a freak. Looked like a talking penis.
To conclude this little ramble, our changing standards and frustrations when it comes to adult animation tend to make us forget that these simpler, raunchier comedies absolutely have a place within the industry, so long as they're done well, of course. You can not enjoy them, you can dislike them, and that's perfectly valid, but you can't deny that their existence is a necessity in having variety in animation. And these changing standards have led people to being blind to a lot of things, such as not even wanting to recognize the creator's intentions or even ignoring the bad in a creator's past work. Just because we have this aversion to any new raunchy comedy that may come out doesn't mean we should disregard creators or even forget to give things a chance to prove that they might be something just a little bit more than what we expect them to be. Well, sure, I'm always hungry, but you can call me crazy.